welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy Harley Podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. If you get sick of following, sit down near me. I want nothing from you, I'm not here to lead. Let your mind be focused, yet without a single thought. If we sit amongst each other, it is a council of the gods. Welcome along to the Guy Harley Podcast.
I'm Guy Pigden.
And I am drunk. I have been at a wedding. I'm Harley Neville. I've been at a wedding this evening. Usually the dynamic is we're both sober or we're both drunk, but not normally. Guy is stone cold sober, literally sipping on his first beer, and I am, 10 to 12 wines in.
That's quite a few wines.
Oh, it's a fearsome amount of wines.
So the show could get a little loopy. Episode 91.
Or, more realistically, I will just yell
and lethargically slur into the microphone.
Exactly. Wax lyrical. And probably say a whole bunch of things that I don't actually mean. So I'd just like to say everything that I say from now on is fiction.
That should probably be the thing that we say at the beginning of each podcast.
Right. the disclaimer.
Yeah. Everything you're about to hear is fiction. And that's a little out for us when this podcast comes back to bite us in the ass, which inevitably it will.
I am worried about it because we were discussing earlier this idea that there's all these closet listeners out there. So we kind of think we know who's listening. We're like, hey, Jason Coombs, how are you? Liam Hegarty, what are you up to?
How you going, mate?
Paulette Edzer, you're well. and of course, the rest of the Hardy Hundy.
Yeah.
And so, I had a point.
Oh, see, man, it started already. So you think you know who you're listening.
But actually, it is these closet listeners. Like, for example, there was a guy from my work. He's a TV presenter who I have very little connection with, and I'd barely even spoken to the guy. Then one day he was like, by the way, I've been listening to your podcast.
Yeah. And you're And I've also found I was chatting with one of the wrestlers at IPW, who's
IPW. That's the Independent Penis Pros
Impact Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, I listened to the podcast." I was like, "Oh, holy shit!"
It's a real concern because it does seem like people sort of say, "Okay, all right, I met this dude at a party, or I met these guys at an event. I'm going to give their podcast a listen," and then here we are. Getting drunk and talking shit, but actually there's potentially important people
nonsense,
listening.
And there's
people that we meet in real life.
And that's the thing too, is like we've opened ourselves up to you, the listeners. We've shared sides of our personalities that we don't necessarily share. Even when I meet you in person, I'm not going to be laughing and joking like I am on the podcast because I don't fucking know you.
Yeah. Well, it's the same with me, right?
I'm going to try and act like a reserved intellectual, That's what I'm going to try and do. And instead, they hear me, going on about, on the last episode, like, the lyrics of Snoop Dogg and Half Dead, putting someone's dick on their head, and they're analysing that, and, that's not exactly the image I want to be putting forward as an esteemed, respected director.
Yeah, well, these listeners are
getting... I want people to take me seriously, damn it.
These listeners are getting an inside scoop.
Yeah.
Just finding the beers for Guy.
It's good, actually. So we're approximately 4 minutes into the podcast, and I finished my first beer.
So we're off to a good start.
We're off to a flyer.
And I'm 12 in, so... So let's see how the next hour develops. So anyway, These listeners are indeed getting sort of an inside lane into everything, and I sometimes forget that. And, Emmy, another long-time listener, member of the Hardy Hundy.
Well, she's not that long-time
Well,
listener.
to be fair, she's new, but she's very supportive.
Yes, absolutely. I actually just put a shot of her in our film, which is currently older, that I've been editing. So, Emmy, so far, which means nothing, but so far you've made the cut. You've made a close-up. But will that stay in there? You never know. Because that's what happens with edits. You think, well, I'm definitely not editing this. I'm definitely not trimming this down anymore. Then you just take the whole scene out. Or you go, or something like that. You go, this scene is integral to the movie. The whole point of this movie is in this scene. And then you go, you know what? Don't need the scene anymore. Happens all the time. It's just one of those weird things. So, but at the moment, I can safely say that in this version, Emmy has made it. So thank you, Emmy, for all the support.
Well, I remember not very long ago, we had the funeral scene for Older. So we shot these Older pickups, and at the end of the day, we decided to have some rap drinks. And Emmy came along, and Emmy's an old school friend of ours who also travels in similar circles. Yep. She's interested in poetry.
And who you had a little bit of a crush on at high school, if I am to recall correctly.
It's inappropriate. Bring that up. It's inappropriate. It's the first podcast since my girlfriend left. She'll be listening.
Well, I'm just saying, in high school 20 years ago, you had a crush on her.
Well, yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, I never told her that. Well,
I
think this is awkward.
I'm pretty sure I mentioned it to her when we chatted. So there you go.
Right. Well, anyway, the other night at this rap drinks, she mentioned my septic pus tunnel.
Otherwise known as hairy buttitis.
Otherwise known as a pyloneural sinus. Yeah. Now, it's like that's not the type of thing you normally talk to just people about at a bar.
At the dinner table.
You know, it doesn't just normally come up. But of course, it did come up, and I didn't bring it up. Emmy brought it up, and it just made me it sort of really hit that home for me. Like, fuck, people I know are listening to what I say, which means that when I talk about my hairy butt, it's not Jeremy Howson down in bloody Christchurch, Nick Cezzardi, you know, these guys who, you know, they're on the other side of the country. It's literally people in my social circle, and they're listening to stories about my fucking septic pus tunnel,
and they're judging me on how much I masturbated to Princess Leia as a young lad.
I believe
when I'm trying to pay respectful tributes to her. You know,
to hark back to that.
So this is the problem that we're having with this podcast. But we can't censor ourselves. We can't change now.
We can't. The original listeners would be very upset.
Yeah. So I guess there's been quite a few things that happened, really.
A lot has happened in the last week or so. I actually wish I was more coherent. I could just, you know...
rattle that off. But you can't remember any of it. That's the problem.
I've made notes.
Okay. But a lot has happened. I've been away for a week in the Coromandel holiday with the family, which was pretty good. But, you know, I did mention this... on another podcast, but when you are around your family for long periods of time,
you just want to kill the motherfuckers.
They wind you up.
You just want to chop them up.
They wind you up.
You just want to David Bain allegedly on them.
Right. I would not go that far at all.
No?
I would not take it to that degree.
Too far?
I would definitely say I did not want to massacre them.
No, allegedly.
Allegedly, I would not want to massacre, allegedly or not, them. But it's more just that their little eccentricities wind you up. Eccentricities.
I'm pretty sure that's what I said.
Really wind you up.
Yep.
And they start to, and you do want to go back to high school and flip the fuck out on them.
Yeah, and you're like,
and go, listen, Dad, just pick a fucking restaurant and stop. Just pick one. Just pick it. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. They've got the same things in them. Just pick a restaurant. Let's just pick one, please. Let's stop. Don't go in and out of the restaurant. Just pick one. Please.
I'm like, Dad, stop speculating as to what life would have been like now if the Roman Empire hadn't fell. Which is a book that I saw on your dad's bookshelf.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, he's less likely to start speculating on that.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually want to have a chat to your dad. I told him last time I was drunk when I saw him. And I was like, now listen, I know you're not an astrophysicist, Charles, but
Totally not his area at all.
but I'd love to talk to you about, the meaning of life. He wasn't that. He was kind of like, okay, well, it's really not my area.
He's like, look, I'm a philosopher.
Yeah. Well, he's a philosopher. Exactly. Guy's dad is a renowned philosopher.
He is renowned.
My friend is the son of a renowned philosopher, and
Professor Charles Bigden.
Big shout outs, but big ups.
Big ups.
So I'm sure he's got a lot to sort of pass on to me.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. I want to know.
Right. No, he does have a lot of wisdom on my part and a lot of infuriating habits to wind me up on holiday. So that's the thing. That's the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang.
Well, speaking of family, I had my little sister up the other week, as we have spoken about.
Yeah.
But one thing we neglected to mention is that parenting is fucking easy.
I thought you were really going to say hard work for a second there.
No, it was so easy. She's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they teach themselves at that age.
Well, they do pretty much. And honestly, I was like, so here's the deal: we're filming a bunch of pickups today, kid. Because remember, she's my sibling, not my daughter, right? So it's like, hey, kid, remember, we're shooting a bunch of pickups today. Shot all the pickups. Mm-hmm. She was very well behaved.
Yep.
She was on set. It wasn't a big deal. Afterwards,
she didn't come up to you tugging on your shirt going,
absolutely not.
Harley, I'm bored.
She did ask. She was like, why are you guys always doing the same thing again? Why are you shooting the same scene again and again? And I was like, well, you got to do it from a whole bunch of different angles to get it so it looks like, blah, blah.
So you explained it to her?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of in a rush. I should have taken more time with that, if I'm really honest.
Yeah.
I guess it was a special moment to be like, okay, so here's what we're doing,
It was your real moment to shine.
It was.
As an educator.
Exactly, but really
you fobbed her off.
Well, a little bit. I was like, well, basically, you got to shoot it a bunch of times from different angles.
Listen, kid, shut up and sit in the corner.
Can you sit over there, please? No. So anyway, look, after we finished the shoot, it was, it's getting on. It's probably 9 p.m. and the crew wanted a beer. And given that I'm a responsible caregiver, I had very little choice. We'd been working hard all day. Mm-hmm. The crew wanted a beer, but I was babysitting. So we took the kid to the pub.
And she sat there patiently?
Yeah.
And had a Coke?
She had like 3 Cokes, ran around all over the place. Leisha, one of the lead actors, really...
took a shine to her.
Yep, and vice versa. And Julie Clark, our makeup artist. And, they really all just got along very well. And so basically... we just took her to the pub.
And the moral of the story is just take your kids everywhere and make them sit around while you're doing stuff.
While you're getting drunk.
And they'll be fine.
Take your kids and make them sit around while you get drunk.
I will say that your sister seems to be a very level-headed, intelligent young woman.
Runs in the family.
And is also like, kids can be very annoying. And she is not one of those kids.
No, she's pretty good.
She's well-behaved.
Yeah.
She can entertain herself. And, she's independent. And, your mum's doing a good job.
Well, I tell you, she is. And I tell you, involving my sister was when we were leaving to fly out, who did we bump into at the airport? But Tiki Tane, renowned New Zealand pop star.
Always on my mind. Girl.
That's reasonable.
Passable.
So anyway, got a photo with him. She was very happy. It made me feel good as well. It was kind of like, wow, she must be feeling pretty cool. She's 10 years old. She's been up here on a film set, a real film set with
and she got to take a photo of you in Tiki Tane.
Yeah, exactly.
And she got to take a photo for you, and now you've got that photo. So that's cool.
Yeah.
What else you got there, mate?
Don't look.
I derailed your story. I derailed your story with a silly joke. So
don't worry, I've forgotten about it already.
So, well, I guess we should probably talk about, even though this is not on my list, but your girlfriend's gone.
Right? Yeah,
she's gone, bro.
Let's just bring it down a notch.
She's gone.
All right, so I've had 12 drinks. And Guy's like, let's bring up the fact that your girlfriend, who you've been with for 5 years, who you've lived with for 3 years, she as of like 5 days ago, she moved to the other side of the world.
Opposite side.
With a one-way ticket. So how do you feel about that, Harley?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what he's saying. This is my best friend, ladies and gentlemen. Well, look, it's pretty heartbreaking. It is pretty hard to get to sleep without her.
Without having ejaculated.
No, there's plenty of ejaculating. That's the thing. It's nothing to do with the ejaculating. I'm ejaculating more, if anything.
If anything. The ejaculation quota has gone way up.
It's gone way the fuck up. No. I think it's just about having her warm little booty asleep in the bed next to me. You know?
Hopeless romantic. Her warm little booty beside me.
Yeah,
just something about that little booty laying beside me.
So, I really miss having her there.
Yeah.
I do. And it has been hard. Like, on the one hand, I literally have not made the bed since she left.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a positive.
Yeah. That's a big plus.
This wasn't really on purpose. It wasn't a plan, but it was like once she's gone, I put up posters on my wall. Like my posters,
Yeah.
which for the last 3 years, it's not that she ever stopped me, but it just wasn't a thing where I put my posters up on the wall, I guess. And so I put my posters up on the wall. I was being tattooed like within like 3 days of her leaving. And it has been, it's just been nice to just whack it whenever you want, and you don't have to
whack it with gay abandon,
and
just whack it with no concern for who else for your.
Well, there's just no chance being walked in on, is there? You can just do what you want, and
the whacking it possibilities are endless,
and you don't need to delete your browsing history. It's just not a thing.
The beauty is,
who cares if extremetube.com comes up when you're looking up something else? It doesn't even matter. There's nobody there to witness it.
Also, that's a great thing too, because you set up all this stuff, but you only whacked it to one thing. Now you can go back to all that other stuff that you didn't have to delete.
Just leave the tabs open.
Leave the tabs running. Just leave them running.
Yeah, they're ready at a whim.
At a moment's notice, just click with no judgments. With absolutely no judgments.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
So there's the pros there.
But it is sad. It is sad. I did have a day yesterday where I was quite depressed. Felt very uninspired about even the idea of getting out of bed. I got out and I was like, nah, fuck this. It was like a sunny day.
It's interesting because I have those all the time.
Right.
I'm just lying there and I'm like,
fuck this.
Fuck this shit. All of it. Why don't I just stay here?
Yeah, well, I have one of those days. Where I kind of I got up and I was just lethargic the whole day and just down and mopey. And I still am a little bit. But it's something I'm going to have to get used to. She's away for 6 months and it's been 5 days. So we'll keep you posted on that.
I also think that sometimes you got to have those can't be fucked days, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem with life. There's a lot of
can't all be good.
Well, there's a lot of dull stuff in it, and there's a lot of stuff that's really just kind of repetitious, and you're kind of like, God, this again? Washing my clothes again? I just cleaned these last week.
Yeah,
gotta wash them
Same
again.
Shit.
Groceries is always a big one for me. I really struggle with the groceries. I gotta buy new groceries, and I didn't even use half of the old ones. What is going on here? It's just those day-to-day things, and of course, heading to work. That's always...
Nobody likes that.
Well, not generally, But speaking of girlfriends, I better give a shout-out to my
Well, that's a good point, actually. That's a very good point. I don't know what you were going to say, but you do it, actually. You lead the way. She's your special girl.
This sexy babe that I'm dating.
Yep.
Shani. If I want to paint a picture for you, She looks a little bit like Princess Jasmine.
I was going to say. I was actually going to say. Are you going to say Princess Jasmine?
Yeah, Princess Jasmine from Aladdin, which is cool because
Arabian Nights.
I was gonna say a whole new world.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
I'm like a shooting star.
No, a new fantastic point of view.
I've come so far.
I've come
Now
so far.
I'm in this whole new world. Now I'm in this. You get the picture.
Yeah.
So that's what she looks like. She looks like Princess Jasmine, which is cool because, you know, I've whacked it many times to Princess Jasmine.
Right next to his images of Princess Leia is Princess Jasmine. And
I've got a thing for princesses.
And Princess Diana.
I've got a thing for princesses. So that's what she looks like. I'm a very lucky guy. Anyway, she has kindly donated us $100, 100 big ones, to our Patreon for the Guy Harley Podcast.
Yeah. So that's pretty fucking excellent. So in all seriousness, thank you so much, Shani, for the support. You do indeed look like Princess Jasmine.
Hot. Yes, please.
Thank you so much. And Shani also provided the catering for our shoot on Alder recently at the funeral scene, and it was amazing and delicious and not cheap, and it was all provided by Shani. So thank you so much for that. And that came about a little bit. The idea behind this $100 donation was I posted the other day on Facebook, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. I posted something saying that, hey, by the way, this podcast costs us $17 a month, roughly 23-ish New Zealand.
It's gone up.
Is it?
Well, yeah, because of GST or something.
Probably. It's all connected to my credit card. But yeah, so it costs like $17 a month to have this podcast up there, and I posted a status saying, hey guys, like chuck us $1 our way on our Patreon, just search Pigville on Patreon and you can help us out. And then I got a message from Shani saying she was going to pay for 5 months worth of the Guy and Harley podcast. So this podcast for the next 5 months is officially sponsored by Shani.
So thank you very much.
And if you guys would like to contribute, you can. There's a few ways. One, go to patreon.com and search Pigville. Or go to paypal.com and you can make a donation to the Pigville account. That's harleyneville@hotmail.com. You just need my email, harleyneville@hotmail.com. And then there's probably one other way, which is you can buy the DVD of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust for $25. Facebook.com/ISAZH.
Because we have had an expensive time of things lately.
Oh, fuck. Mate, are you kidding? There's a reason we're drinking $10 beer Lao. It's the cheapest beer I could find at the liquor store. 6-pack for $10.
No, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's not bad. He said there's another one for $8, but I couldn't find it.
You couldn't find it in there.
That's what we'd be drinking, though.
Right. Beer Lao, which I'm assuming is Chinese.
Looks like it.
So anyway, shit ain't cheap, man. We've just been blowing a huge wad of cash on the older pickups. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, we're still paying the butcher's bill on that one too. We're awaiting an invoice or two and some other bits and pieces.
Reluctantly waiting some invoices.
Yeah, and we've got to kind of even things out, and I've got a bad feeling that I'm on the losing end of that. I've spent a bit of money.
I think we might be even, actually. I think we might be roughly even.
Because guys spent a bit of money, I've spent a bit of money, we've all kept our receipts.
Yeah.
And then eventually we have to go, all right, cool. Who owes who what?
What's going on?
How much did you pay? How much did I pay?
Yeah.
So the butcher's bill is yet to be tallied.
Yeah. And that is the big problem with...
what do you reckon it cost? About like $2,000?
Well, that's how much the loan I got was.
And did you use it all?
Well, no, I used over $1,000 of it.
Right.
But some of that was simply living while I wasn't really working.
Right.
So it's hard to calculate. It is a bit difficult to calculate, and there is still some debts to be paid. But it was not cheap. It was not cheap. And we didn't quite get everything either.
Right.
didn't quite film
I reckon
everything.
about $2,000 probably.
Ugh.
Now, we have a problem here, Guy, that I haven't told you about. And now, so I've moved into this new house. It's Pigville Productions Head Office.
Yeah.
I do love it. I'm actually so happy here. My old house, as mentioned, was a bit of a dilapidated shithole. They had this. I'd never mentioned it. I didn't tell you guys on the podcast, but the guy who was the head tenant tried to give me a contract that I had to sign, and all this crazy stuff on it. It was saying that if I left, I had to pay his trade me fee to pay for his new ad, which is outrageous,
Insanity.
I'm not going to pay for, you're managing the place, you manage the fucking expense. I'm not paying for that.
Also, the weird thing is, like, he was going to make you sign this contract, but that contract's not really legally binding.
No, because it wasn't. He wasn't the owner of the property or even the property manager. He was just.
He was just a guy in a flat.
The head tenant. He was the guy who had the contract. And anyway, it was weird. But anyway, I moved into this flat, and it's so much better. It's beautiful and sunny. There is a weird dick height mirror in the bathroom.
Is there?
Perfectly dick height. It's perfect for inspecting for strange bugs. Like, it's directly above the sink where you would wash your hands.
Right.
There's this perfect dick height mirror. So every time I get out of the shower, if I look towards the sink, I just see dick swinging.
Give yourself quite a fright.
Exactly.
Well, what about the other mirror? The other mirror is just as bad.
Well, that shows your face.
No, well, yeah, but it's still...
So you can look at your face and your dick at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah.
So it's less of a shock.
But
It's less of a shock.
quite scary either way.
Yeah, see, to me, the other mirror is more shocking, because then you see your full body, and, you don't necessarily like what you see.
Right, so dick height mirror.
Yeah.
Where were we going beyond that?
You tell me, mate.
Well, look, I told you I'm going to forget. I've been drinking. Guys at 2.5 beers already.
Yep.
That's pretty good for 25 minutes.
Yeah. So you see this dick height mirror. This is a problem for you in the flat?
No,
You've got some problems in the flat?
It was something about the flat. Okay, how about this? Why is it that in our kitchen, new kitchen, there's this... Right, our fridge is out by the laundry, okay?
Yeah.
And in the kitchen, how long you lived here?
I don't know, 6 months?
And in that entire 6 months, it never occurred to you to wonder why there's a giant gap, a giant fridge-sized gap in the kitchen next to a PowerPoint with the fridge in the laundry, which is like a 5-minute walk away.
I will be honest, the setup of the fridge
It's
to
weird.
kitchen is bad. But I think the reason that it is in there is because it leaks. So I think the issue is that the fridge is leaky, and so better to leak in this sort of washing room area.
Okay, well, what about this?
No, I mean, I think we should move the fridge. I'm getting tired of walking through there to get stuff out of the fridge.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
The toilet is straight off like a social area, like literally straight off. So every time you want to go to the toilet, you have to walk through this area where there's often people sitting.
It's a real big problem, actually.
And you walk into the bathroom, okay? And that would be bad enough, just them knowing that you're going to the toilet every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But now they've got to sit there and actually listen to you
Your shit sound effects.
taking a crap, because they're on the other side. It's essentially a bathroom directly off the lounge kind of thing.
Well, I can explain how that happened. So,
I'm just saying it's horrible. I'm just saying that, it's really difficult to poop quietly.
well, also, like, we're in a flat with, a couple of quite good-looking women, right? So, also, their friends are quite good-looking women, So you got all these beautiful women sitting around, and you're like, sorry, guys, just got to take a big old shit.
Yeah, well, the other day...
While you guys are just having a great time in here, I'm just going to take a violent shit. It's going to be very violent. You're going to hear some noises.
Okay.
It's going to repulse you all. And then, obviously, the smell will further,
Okay, well, look, they didn't tune in to hear about our shit.
No, but I'm just saying, you're really going to throw these people because obviously they're right there.
Well, the other day I did have easily the worst I've had in months. When I had this massive carbonara from an Italian place. And
Carbonara, classic mistake.
I tell you what, it was ridiculous. It was sounding like an electric guitar in there, you know. And I was trying to be quiet too. I did a courtesy flush halfway through.
Yeah.
But I'm not even kidding, I was holding my hands to kind of block the gap between my legs and, you know, the toilet seat, to try and block that gap, to sort of try and
muffle the sound?
Refract the sound of these farts which were reverberating around the bowl. I was that embarrassed.
Refract the sound of these trumpet-like sharts that were...
I don't actually think
decimating the bowl.
I don't actually think it worked.
Absolutely decimating the toilet. There's a problem. Well, the reason why that is because the lounge used to be in someone's room,
and then we turned the room into somewhere to stay,
into a bedroom.
Auckland is so unlivable.
Yeah,
that, you know, if you're
forced to make an extra room out of the lounge.
Yeah,
and so that was what's happened, which is good for us rent wise, but it's bad for us shit wise.
All right, now we never explained actually, right, why I'm so deep in the drinking properly, which is that I just came from this wedding.
Yeah.
Where I was the MC.
Yeah.
I was the MC at a wedding. Guy came along. He was there briefly. But Guy hung around long enough to eat the food, but left before the speeches started. Because that's the kind of guest he is.
That's the kind of guy I am.
But to be fair, he did not have sex with any women behind any trees, nor masturbate behind any trees.
Well, I didn't have sex with anyone in any trees or in the women's toilets, which I'm also want to do from time to time.
Well, we all want to do that from time. No, but you recall last week on the last episode we discussed.
I did say
bringing Guy to any wedding.
I just suggested that I had sex behind a big tree one time. I also may have done it in a toilet one time. At weddings. Weddings are a good place to sleep with people.
Hashtag humble brag.
Well, look, I'm not saying that, could be a long time between drinks. I'm just saying it happened.
You're not wrong. And let me tell you. So I was the MC. It's my first time MCing, okay?
Yeah.
And you were there for my opening speech.
Yeah.
We haven't discussed it yet.
It was actually pretty funny because you cracked a Batman joke.
Yeah, too.
And I was laughing.
Yeah, I heard you laughing.
But
everyone else
was really not feeling the Batman jokes.
They were loving the Batman jokes.
They weren't really loving the Batman
They were really a Batman crowd.
Yeah,
it
wasn't really a Batman.
Yeah. But I did have a couple of Batman jokes. Discussing about how the groom one night came out of the shadows and saved me from getting beaten up by two thugs in Dunedin one night many moons ago. And I said he was like Batman. He was the hero I needed, not the hero I deserved, which is actually the opposite of the quote. If you watch the movie, it's the opposite, but that's a shit quote. The wrong way around.
It's a silly quote.
Yeah. So anyway, I fixed the quote and then I used it in a wedding speech, and it went well. And then after Guy left, and I nailed it. And shut up. And after Guy left, though, I recited a poem as per the request of the bride. I recited Saturn's Return.
Is the request of the bride or the groom?
Bride.
So the bride was really...
The bride wanted me to recite a poem.
The bride was really feeling your poems?
Yeah, apparently. And so I had to recite a poem. So I recited the only poem that was appropriate. You know, I've only got one that's really about like love and life and that type of thing, and the rest of them about how religion's dumb and consumerism's bad.
If you're a Christian, you're a fucking idiot.
I never actually say that.
Well, but you don't say that exactly.
No, I say
if you're religious, you're a fucking idiot.
No, I say if you're religious, gather round, listen to me. I'm going to open your mind
and tell you you're a fucking idiot.
No. So I recited a poem, and let me tell you, mate, you could literally hear the panties drop.
I was going to say a pin drop.
The panties drop with a resounding splat. Because I nailed that poem.
Eaten too much carbonara.
I absolutely nailed that poem. It was awesome. They were hanging off my every word. So that was good.
Probably like that a lot more than your Batman jokes. Your Batman gags probably went down a lot better than your Batman gags to start off with. Also, like for the Batman purist, like the Batman nerd who was listening to you, he would have been like, you fucked up the line.
the quote
You
backwards.
Come on, mate. You can't even get the quote right. Just give up.
Well, it made more sense the other way. It didn't make sense that you got to do it the right way.
So anyway, panties dropped, but it doesn't matter because you got a girlfriend.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was just saying.
Well, I
It's a
mean,
nice sound, is all. So I went. This is a filmmaking podcast.
it's a podcast about our lives.
So I went and saw Passengers the other night
Oh yeah,
with my girlfriend the day that she flew. So she was flying that night at 11 p.m.
and you were like, what better thing to do than to spend 2 hours not talking to each other and completely ignoring each other while we look at a screen.
No.
We've only got these precious 24 hours left. Let's put 2 of them away. Let's throw them in the bin.
Well, we had a lot of hours together, so we had to.
You've had 5 years worth of hours.
we've
By
had a
this
lot of
stage, you
hours.
really need to watch a couple of movies
So-
towards the end.
No, I looked at it like, let's explore, let's have an experience together, let's have an adventure in space together.
Let's have a cheeky handy at the movie theater
Oh,
together.
mate. Cheeky handies are like 4 years dead, at least. And cheeky handies at the movies, I don't even know if I pretty much never had one of those. I think they're mythical.
The mythical, the cheeky handy. Well, it really depends on, because you've also got this thing, I'm pretty sure this did not exist like once upon a time, where someone like the movie inspector from the actual, who's selling the tickets goes in and does a head count.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that didn't used to exist.
No,
So,
of course it did. It used to exist. Now it doesn't exist.
well, that's what I'm saying though, is like when they do the head count, you never know when it's coming, so you feel like the cheeky handy could be compromised at any second.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like at a point, if you got in, I'm pretty sure I've sneaked into a movie before.
Yeah.
The head count wasn't going to count me out.
No. Well, also, are they going to make a scene over, are they going to like pick out the 14-year-old pubescent masturbator and get him
I'm
out of
pretty
there?
sure they are.
Well,
I'm
okay,
pretty
sure.
sure.
If he's masturbating, but if they just counted, right? Say they said we've sold 25 tickets, and they send someone in to count, and there's 26 people in there. How do you find the 26th person? Do you turn off the movie, turn up the lights, and say, "All right, guys, show me your tickets"? Of course you don't. You just let him go.
Yeah, and what would you do, right? You walked in. You're a
Usher.
Usher, yep. You walk in. Gotta let it burn. So you walk in, you see someone giving you see, a boyfriend and girlfriend situation. There's a hand job going on.
Me, mate, I do fucking nothing. Honestly.
Oh, you sit
I
back
whip
and
it out and rub it out right next to them. I'm like, hey,
hey, bro.
if it's good for you, it's good for me.
So you're saying, like, even though your job is to stop them,
look,
you're not going to stop them.
Let me tell you something. It does not matter what my job is. 99% of the time, I'm not doing it, okay? So just don't. I am not worried, okay? Like, especially about that type of thing. Like,
But
honestly,
but
am I going to be the guy that busts in on a dude getting a hand job and be like, "Hey, man, stop that"? It's so dumb. Like, as long as they're not like interrupting anybody, as long as it's not like a thing.
Okay, well,
if it's a thing, then okay. Obviously, you got to say, "Look, guys, there's other people here, and you can't do that here." But
So you're
if
saying-
it's like if they're like up the back of a cinema, right, and it's not that packed, it's got 10 people in it, big cinema, and
It's
there's a couple up the back
it's a
having a quiet hand job,
conservative.
which I only notice because it's my job to look out for hand jobs.
Yeah. Among other things.
And I see a hand job, and they're not interrupting anybody. Am I honestly going to walk up and be like, "Hey guys, can you please stop pleasuring one another? Because this is not a place of pleasure." Like, no way. I'm going to be like, "All right, good, fair, cool."
Okay, but what if there is quite a few people in the cinema, and there's like...
Okay, well, if it's inappropriate, well, that's a whole other thing, isn't it? You go, "Look, dickhead, you can't have your cock out here," and you dumbass, like, stop encouraging him.
Stop touching it.
Stop. It's never going to go away if you keep touching it. But no, that's a whole other thing. Of course, if my job is to like usher the cinema and there's somebody causing a scene, well,
so
you
you're
got to
saying
get rid of them.
Full house, no go. Half empty, all good.
What I'm saying is common sense, use it, you cinema masturbators.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
Resident Evil 7 is out.
That's true.
And Guy and I are big fans. We should probably watch that, play that at some point.
Yeah.
We've finished every episode. My only exception is that I didn't actually finish Code Veronica. Guy finished it.
I had to finish it.
But we got like most of the way through.
Well, it was a kind
and
of
then we lost a save or something.
It's a weird thing. Like the first time round, we played through it and then like got to a certain point and then we had to give it back. Then we played through it all again and then roughly
because we hired it. We hired it for $4 for the week or whatever.
Roughly got to the same place and then something happened. Like then we lost the save and then I played through it for a third time and finally actually finished it. But yes, we have finished all of them, although I'm still on at Harley to finish, like there's 3 parts to Resident Evil 6 and we only finished one storyline of Resident Evil 6.
But it really, really sucked and the gameplay wasn't fun.
And so he's refused, essentially, to play the other parts with me.
But we did finish it, so fuck it.
So the new Resident Evil's out, yes.
Oh, that was it, really.
The new Resident Evil's out, and I will say this, there's a real problem here. There's a real problem developing, which is that there's these really cool games that I really want to play. Resident Evil 7, Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which is about to come out, and The Last of Us Part 2, and Mass Effect 4. So there's these are all games that I actually have played, like in the sense that in those series I've finished all the other ones, right? And I haven't obviously played any of these, and I've got to finish this motherfucking film called Older, and now it's like I'm losing out on video games big time. Video games has severely been compromised. My life is like really sucking right now with all this editing I got to do. And it's a problem because it's like I cannot commit the time, the 20, 30 hours or whatever it's going to take for this stuff, because it's better spent finishing the feature film that I actually, could advance my career and we've spent 3 years on and a ridiculous amount of money and we really want to get out and do well. But it's very hard sometimes, the discipline of it. Whereas you, on the other hand, can play all those games if you want.
Well, that's not true. It's not true. I don't have a TV.
But I'm pretty sure you can play it through your giant monitor.
Yeah, there's this thing.
Have you looked into that?
Yeah, it turns out it's not an issue. It's not a matter of plugging your PlayStation 4 directly into your Mac and playing. That's not how it works.
Right.
You can do a remote play thing where you go into the lounge, turn on the PlayStation, right? And then you go into your bedroom, turn on the Mac, and then it's already on, but you know what I mean? And then you click
it's already on
click,
and it's open full of porn tabs.
And then you click on the an app called like Remote Play or something like that. And then you can use the control pad in your bedroom while looking at your Mac, but you're still kind of playing off your actual PlayStation, which is in the lounge next to your TV. And you play, but there is sort of some slight delay. It's like it's using the internet to go from the PlayStation in the next to the TV to remotely go to your Mac at the same time. So it did kind of freeze a few times while I was playing, and I was like, I don't care, because at the time I was just testing it out and having fun. But when I was thinking, like, if I was like midway through a really crucial mission right now and it kind of paused like that, you kind of like lose control of the control pad for a few seconds.
Well, I feel
like it's like, you can't afford that kind of shit when you're when you're on like level 27 and you're about to like kill the mage.
I feel the what?
Mage.
I feel like there is a way around that, because I can play directly off this monitor, and I feel like there must be a plug that can plug directly from your PlayStation to your Mac.
All right, well, probably, but these guys don't care unless they're into gaming. Now, look, let's talk about something they care about, which is my mum has a septic pus tunnel as well. I talked to him the other day about how I've got an operation coming up. I've had my update.
Yep.
I'm supposed to get my operation within 4 months. I mentioned it to my mum for this issue I have, which is a pilonidal sinus.
Hairy buttitis.
A problem with the top of my butt crack. There's a hole there that you let's not get into it. But anyway, my mum has it. Guy used to have it.
Yep.
Now, I did not know that my mum had it until the other day. We had a phone conversation. I said, I'm about to go and have this surgery.
Was this the first time that you brought it up with her?
Yeah, I just never brought it up because last time I got my pilonidal sinus operated on, they didn't put me under or anything like that. And they just said like, yeah, lie down, mate. And it was like the emergency doctor. So they just did it really quickly and it wasn't really a thing. And then I just healed for 6 weeks. But Guy got put under for it.
Yep.
And
they knocked me out.
The other day when I was talking to the doctor about the upcoming surgery, he was like, yeah, they'll put you under for it. And I was like, fuck, that's pretty serious.
Yep.
And so, yeah, Guy said as well that he got like 6 weeks off work or something, or he should have.
Yeah, a long period of time off work. Unfortunately, I worked at a video store, which involves doing sweet fuck all. And they were like, basically, they're like, look, I get that you can't do much, but you can still do sweet fuck all. So come back to work, eh? And I was like, God damn it. I guess you're right. I guess that at this job, I watch 3 movies a day. Just while I'm sitting there in between serving people. I watched a lot of movies.
Learned a lot.
I was being paid minimum wage.
Back to Passengers, by the way.
Yeah.
Which we didn't actually finish the review of.
No.
I really enjoyed it. Big fan. I did say that I was always going to support kind of like sci-fi blockbusters that come through because I want to encourage the film industry to pursue that kind of direction.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if sci-fi becomes popular, well, then people are starting to think about the future, and therefore humanity has more of a future.
Unfortunately, Passengers is the example of why sci-fi is not going to become popular. Because people aren't feeling it. Such as my girlfriend.
Well, did it pay off?
Probably not.
Really?
But I think this is the problem, right? So, Passengers is about people on...
Now, it's been out for like a week and a half, so we can't do any spoilers.
No, it's been out way longer than that.
Well, we can't do spoilers though, right?
Well, we won't do in-depth spoilers. But let's
what does that mean? Is they got to tune out or not? I'm always on the side of the person who doesn't want any spoilers.
I know, but Passengers is literally going to be finished at the movies like next week.
Right.
So we're deep into Passengers now.
So for the listeners coming up, what's the level of spoilers they should expect?
Not too much. So basically, I'm just going to say that it takes place on a ship.
Well, we know that from the trailer.
A spaceship.
Here's the premise from the trailer. A spaceship is traveling through 120 years of sleep.
Don't think they mentioned that, but okay.
No, they do. Of course they do. They mention that it's 120 years until...
they're getting to a new planet.
They're sleeping like cryogenically or whatever.
Yep.
And suddenly, for some reason, 2 of them wake up 90 years too early, and they find themselves alone on a ship with 5,000 other people who are sleeping for another 90 years, and they obviously need to figure out what to do and what are they going to do with the rest of their lives.
So, to break down that... well, how did it cost so much money? Because I'm pretty sure it was like $100 million film, right?
Well, it looked like it. It looked like it because everything was fucking amazing. It looked so good.
And I think that's the issue is that essentially
which is why we've got to support it.
Built the interior of the spaceship, right? So every set was a room or a large chunk of the spaceship. And that's where they spent a huge chunk of money on, plus visual effects for the actual exterior spaceship shots, plus, let's say 20 million each to Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. And then suddenly and that's the problem is like, this
20 million, but fuck them both. It doesn't even matter. Like, that movie was not successful because
Well, it wasn't successful.
Pratt was in it. Yeah, but nobody was like, "Oh, that's a big box office drawer." Like
he's so hot right now.
But that could have been any two actors.
But that's the problem, is they're like sci-fi, hard sell, lots of people don't like that. Okay, so what do? We take the two biggest box office stars, man and woman, currently right now. You know, Chris Pratt just coming off Jurassic World and what's the other and Guardians of the Galaxy. So he's like
neither of which I've seen.
The dude. He is the dude right now. And then Jennifer Lawrence, of course, Hunger Games, and
of course responsible for the horrible butchering of the book The Hunger Games,
and also being the blue babe, the young Mystique in the X-Men series. So anyway, they're like, that's what we need to get people to see this sci-fi movie, because there's a problem with like I think we talked about Ex Machina a while back.
Yeah, which I did also really enjoy. Probably the last really good sci-fi I saw was
great sci-fi film, but the issue with that is that there was no big stars in it, and although it did well, like, you know, it's kind of like these are the two examples. So on the one hand, you've got kind of the low budget version of this, which has got no stars and did probably do well and make money because they spent only money on the look of it and the visual effects, right? And then you had this Passengers, which is kind of the opposite way to go, where they go, well, we spend heaps of money on it, but we have the big stars, so hopefully it leads to a big box office. It didn't do terribly at the box office, but it wasn't amazing. And
it really concerns me.
My girlfriend really didn't like it either.
Why?
She kind of fell asleep.
Not to like?
Well, to be honest, I kind of was on the same boat as her. Like,
no, her negative attitude affected you.
No, I didn't.
If you'd watched it with me, you would have been fucking all over.
No, I didn't know that she had a negative attitude. Like, I was like, hey, pretty good, right? At the end, and she was like, kind of boring. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it was kind of boring. I almost fell asleep there for a little while. And to be honest, I myself was yawning a little bit through some of it.
Not me. I was on the edge of my seat.
It was slow going.
Now, I watched it on IMAX, which is like the bigger screen, and I watched with Angie on our last day together, and I really, really loved it. And there was probably
but you're a fucking sci-fi nerd.
There was probably not. Well, when you say sci-fi nerd, do you mean a person who has a vague understanding? You heard me,
yes,
who has a vague understanding of the scientific method and thinks that we should be thinking about the future as a species.
When I say a sci-fi nerd, I mean a dude that jacks off to Cosmos and whacks it to fucking gravity.
Firstly, okay. Cosmos is not science fiction, you fool. Cosmos is a fucking documentary.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not sci-fi. Gravity, the theory of gravity, Guy, is also not sci-fi. So basically, science. You're referring to science.
Yes, let me rephrase that.
I like
a fucking
science
nerd, but that obviously leads to becoming a sci-fi nerd because science fiction is the next step.
I don't like fucking Star Trek, for example. There's heaps of sci-fi that I'm not into.
Yeah,
but I don't like read much sci-fi. I've read very little sci-fi in recent years.
But those sci-fi that you don't like are ones that don't have any science in them. And what you do like is ones with science in them, and this is a relatively realistic...
I like what's known as we've mentioned before, hard sci-fi.
Yeah.
I like
hard sci-fi gets you... that's what you whack it to.
Yeah.
Which is still sci-fi.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying when I say you whack it to Cosmos. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who we've already mentioned that you did send a very overtly gay poem to.
No, it was...
a rap.
It was funny. It wasn't gay. It was funny.
But could it be construed as you were really sexually trying to hit on him?
Yeah, I believe it was...
What was it?
It goes... just give me a wee second.
Okay. Do you need a minute? How long do you need?
I know it goes... But your black hole's my destination.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah. And something about time dilation.
Yeah. deep in your black hole.
Yeah,
like,
it was
time
very
dilation.
sexual.
Yeah.
And you sent that to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who promptly ignored you.
Right. Well, he did not respond. Yeah.
He didn't respond to your amazing sci-fi rap.
Yeah.
Hard sci-fi rap
Yeah.
that you'd prepped for him.
Yeah. It goes. My dick's a light year long, spaghettification, but your black hole's my destination. I was attracted by your big ass gravitation, and I came so quick like time dilation. My balls have reached their infinite mass. I'm gonna fill up your mariner's crevasse and get yourself checked, cause panspermia can pass. I give the gift of life, it's been living in my pants. And so it continues.
And that's what you sent to him. He did not respond. As a sci-fi nerd, if you analyze those lyrics, they're actually very clever.
Limited. It depends on your personal education. If you're educated, they're not that clever.
Well, I'm not educated. Nah. As a casual sci-fi thing, you're like, oh wow, talking about time dilation, cool.
Now look, hey, the other day.
Anyway, but just quickly to my point is that you're a real annoying movie watcher.
I'm not annoying.
You're
super
annoying.
I just watch the good ones.
Nah. But my issue with your movie watching is that you will watch something and you'll be like, fucking Iron Man fell into the sand. He should be dead. You know?
Yeah. Okay. As in, I don't.
This is stupid. This is bullshit.
Unrealistic things.
But then with like Passengers, you'll be like coming super hard.
Yeah.
Like time dilation.
Now,
but the thing is, like Passengers is like, I enjoyed Passengers. There was definitely, I think, a couple problems with Passengers towards the end. But also, like, maybe it's not an amazing movie, but you have such a raging boner for hard sci-fi that you will, like, forget all of the stuff that's kind of shit about it, but you will never do that for, like, you know, a good superhero film or, like, a good... like, you know, you come in, like, the super cynic to heaps of movies. You're like, yeah, think this shit, and kind of ruin it for me. But then, like, you just random movies that you have a weird shine for, you'll be like, this is amazing. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen, and completely ignore like all of their faults in a very biased way.
No, like,
that is a classic Harley Neville.
But the thing is that we can't really have this conversation without delving into spoilers. Which we're simply not going to do just yet.
This year?
This year. Just yet.
Oh, right.
One of those things. So anyway, look, let's move on from Passengers. I did really enjoy it. Afterwards, everybody left the cinema, and we were in this amazing IMAX cinema, and it was just Angie and I, and we had these beautiful like leather seats, and it was very like cool, and the credits were playing, and there was this nice sort of music just going in the background, and it really created a sort of ambiance, and everybody was gone.
And you came so quick, like time dilation.
And it was just the two of us. It was just Angie and I on our last day together before she got on a plane to fly to the other side of the world, and we had a moment. Yeah. We had a moment where we hugged and cried. I cried. Mm-hmm. We both cried. I cried. Mm-hmm. I don't deny it. I was very sad that she was leaving, and it was a really beautiful moment afterwards. I'm just gonna cry. I'm just gonna.
Well, I didn't have that moment.
Luckily, there's tissues all around Guy's desk.
Luckily, there's 3 stacks of toilet paper. Harley put me onto a trick the other day because basically there's a problem at our flat where toilet paper keeps running out, right? And I keep buying it. And the issue with that is that I buy all the toilet paper and then everyone else uses it for their butts.
And there's one thing that makes me and probably you very angry, which is not being able to wipe your fucking ass.
But
when you take a shit.
Harley's mentioned it's a pet peeve.
That's a pet peeve of mine. You know, like when I shit, I need to wipe my ass, like, you know, within a minute or two. You know, it's important.
After checking what's on Facebook, after having a little read of your Kindle. then it's time.
It's time. It's wiping time.
It's wiping time.
So what happened?
So anyway, you were like, well, you know what you got to do, bro. And I was like, no, stop buying toilet paper. That won't work. I still need toilet paper. He's like, no, you keep a secret stash of toilet paper in your room.
I've been doing it for years.
And so when it gets down to no toilet paper, you just bring in your toilet paper, bring it back out again.
Yep. You're all G. It's like, if these motherfuckers can't, like, buy some fucking toilet paper, well, they can't wipe their fucking asses, but you're all good.
Your butt's good.
Your butt is
Your
good.
butt's taken care of.
Flatting tips, 101.
So, yeah, I've learned some new things.
So the other night, I did a little bit of stand-up comedy at a gong night. On a whim, I went to the launch of the NZ Wine podcast. So it's a podcast about wine. Go check it out if you're interested in wine and podcasts. The NZ Wine Podcast. Give them 5 stars. Why not? I haven't listened to it, but I'm sure it's great. And they had this launch party at a bar, and I kind of walked past the bar initially because I was like, God, I hope it's not in there, lols. And then I walked back and I realized that was where it was. And it was, it was like all these like kind of like super richies, like super richies in like a trendy suburb and a trendy bar, talking about wine, presumably. But everybody was lovely, but they were just very different circles to me. And then I hung out for a bit, drank some wines, and then I decided to go and do stand-up comedy on a whim at a gong night. And I expected to get through the whole thing. I got gonged about 2 minutes through a 7-minute segment.
I was going to say, I thought it was a 10-minute set.
Nah, 7-minute set. 7-minute set, I got gonged at about 2 minutes. Now, I'm a little bit upset, but they did gong me at a good time. They gonged me after a good punchline, so it kind of worked. It was like da 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 da, ha ha ha, big laugh, gong. Okay, it was a respectful gonging.
Right.
Afterwards, though, I was on my way home. I was on K Road, which is sort of New Zealand's or Auckland's I don't know, cultural street. It's a very cultural street, and I was walking home, and there was the sex shop.
Yeah.
Peaches and cream.
Yeah.
Now, my girlfriend's gone. Yeah. Right? We all understand.
We all understand what that means.
We're all friends here.
Yeah.
Now, I've had... It's been hard without Angie.
Literally.
Literally. No, it has. And, like, in between the bouts of depression, where it was of course punctuated by
chronic masturbation,
exhaustive sessions of masturbation, followed by brief feelings of remorse and
regret, shame,
self-loathing, followed by
6 in the morning, 6 in the evening,
followed by more masturbation, 6 in the evening. And so I did think just maybe I should buy a fake vagina again, which is something you have discussed on the show in the past.
Have we?
Yeah. Remember I said that I often get a boner nowadays when I walk along the Pringles aisle of the supermarket because they look so much like vaginas in a can, which you can buy from most good sex stores near you. And so, I actually bought you one, Guy. As a gift, a vagina in a can.
What, this is in the past or now?
No, in the past.
Oh, right.
No, you get your hopes up, mate.
Oh, no, I did for a second there.
No. In the past, I bought
my eyes lit up.
Now, so these vaginas in a can, it's like you can use it probably a few times.
Well, how many times do you think you can use it?
I got quite a few out of it. I think that theoretically you meant to use it once.
You meant to use it more.
Well, if you're going to come in it.
Well, don't they say they're washable, though?
Not these ones, no. Like, this is not like a latex kind of thing. This is like some sort of jelly. It's like a jelly in a can, vaguely shaped like a vagina, or a butt, or a mouth potentially. And
pick your poison.
You fuck it. You fuck the can. And
just gonna leave that up to the listener's imagination, but okay.
Oh, they've all used them. The Hardy Hundy are well fucking familiar with fucking vaginas in a can. Mate.
I think this is like a revelation to some of them.
As if I'm the only guy If I was the only guy buying vaginas in a can, they wouldn't have vaginas in a can at the sex shop on K Road. Okay, this thing's making money. Okay, so it's more like a jelly anyway, and you can like fuck it, but you can only do it so many times before it starts just kind of falling apart. Anyway. I like in the past I've been known to buy one or two in times of need, and I'm even so generous that I normally buy them for my friends. I bought one for you, Guy. Yep. I actually suspect that I bought two for you, Guy. One was an ass, one was a pussy, and I told you to have a threesome. It was for your birthday or something like that.
Nah, I only got one from you.
Only one? Did I keep one for myself?
Yeah, like what you did, you're like, I'll be good to Guy. I'll get him a vagina and a butt in a can because he's a single loser now. He's so sad and pathetic. I really pity him, and I'm gonna get these for a laugh. And then you got
distracted,
and then you took one to me, and then you're like, why should Guy have all the fun? Why should he have this butt that I bought? I bought this butt. I'm entitled to have this butt.
No. The thing is, I gave you both of them, Guy, but I gave both of them a hoon beforehand.
No, well, that's
to make sure they were all good.
That's the beauty of the vagina in the can, is you can tell if the seal is broken.
If it's been tampered.
It's got a fail safe. The vagina in a can has a fail safe for pervs like Harley who want to destroy. He just wanted to see he just wanted to destroy something beautiful.
Your penis? I just wanted to destroy something beautiful by I don't know. Yeah, well, let's not get into that. Anyway,
let's not get into passing on herpes through vagina in a can. Let's not go there.
Let's draw the line.
Let's not get into passing on sexually transmitted diseases through a vagina in a can that you originally bought for your friend,
to your best
but you
friend.
decided to use yourself and then give to your friend.
Yeah, no. Let's not. Let's draw a line. So anyway, I went in to buy one.
Yeah.
$35.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't used to be that much.
Look.
I'm sure they're like 22. And I said to the man behind the counter.
They were on half price when you got them last time.
They might have been, actually.
Yeah, they were on special.
They were on special. Because
get people like us hooked.
I said to the man behind the counter. I said to the man behind the counter.
This is a vagina in a can addiction.
I said to him, I was like, once you pop, you can't stop.
Well, did he have a chuckle at that?
No,
he really didn't.
And then
he was like, "Look, I don't want to hear about your dirty pervertedness, you freak. I don't use these. I'm just here to sell these.
I'm just here to get paid, man."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "No,
don't come at me with your Pringles jokes."
I was like,
"Your Pringles dad sex jokes."
That was essentially what it was. And so anyway, 35 fucking bucks, man.
Yeah.
That's extortionate.
That's pretty expensive.
For a disposable fake vagina, $35 fucking dollars.
That's not really going to last
that's outrageous.
Too long.
And I said to the man, this is an outrage.
Yeah.
And I stormed out. I left without buying.
Oh, I thought you stormed out with two in your hand and feeling quite poor.
And I stormed out with $70 worth of threesome from a can. No, I didn't. I stormed out without buying one. So now I am fake vaginaless.
Right.
And just generally.
And real vaginaless.
Vaginaless. Yeah.
Just in general vaginaless.
Right. But specifically fake vaginaless.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss. Sorry that had to happen to you. I'm sorry that $35. Why didn't you go into the other sex shop? There's two right there.
That's the thing. They were right next to each other. That's what I think happened. There was two right next to each other.
Yeah.
I think there was competition. One of them's closed down.
Ooh.
Now, fake vaginas. There ain't no half-price fake vaginas nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay? Nowadays, if you want a fake vagina, a shitty disposable fake vagina,
you got to pay top dollar.
$35.
Top dollar.
That's outrageous. It's outlandish. I mean, I'm just going to stuff a bunch of jelly in a Pringles can and fucking have at it. Okay?
Some jelly? Where are you going to get jelly from?
I'll make it. I'll put it in the fridge. If you see any Pringles can full of jelly in the fridge, don't eat that, okay?
Or just like a full-on baked Jello that's just sitting there.
They don't bake, man.
Solidifying in the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you're. Okay.
Yeah, but no, but it'll be in a Pringles can.
Well, because that's the thing. We've thrown a few things out to the Hardy Hundy and we didn't get any feedback.
Well, that is worth mentioning is that Nick Cezzardi is a long-time listener. He is part of the Hardy Hundy. He's part of the Filthy 50. And he has been building his car. He's a boy racer.
Building his empire.
He's a, quote, stupid boy racer.
Took exception to the Fast and Furious disparaging remarks you made.
Yeah, and he has been listening for a while. He used to watch The Project, which was our original web series back in the day. That's how he actually found us. So, long-time supporter, and he said a few things. Amongst them was that he said that he had been listening to the old episodes, and that he had been listening to 5 or 6 episodes in a day.
That's a lot of our voices. That's more of our voices than we hear in a day.
That's true. I mean, like 5 or 6 episodes, that's kind of like, 6 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
But he said that when he's listening to the Guy Harley podcast, he makes less mistakes. Yeah. Now, I did actually have a point about Nick Cezzardi before that.
Okay. Which was? Don't know.
Can I go pee and we pause it?
Okay. Let's just pause it while Harley goes to the toilet.
Okay, I'm back. That was good. So Nick Cezzardi was saying, he was listening to the old episodes, and he was saying, why do you no longer ask for fan feedback and stuff like that? And look, we do want you
love fan feedback.
We do. We kind of, I guess what happened was we sort of gave up. Because we did get stuff, but not all the time. And I guess we just, we a little bit gave up. But
well, actually, sometimes too, we're so bad, like, we go, so write in, and then actually people write in and talk about something, and then we forget about it.
Yeah, that can happen.
We don't take a log of it somehow, and we go, oh, we should talk about that, and then we don't talk about it. Dumb shit.
Yeah. So look, we do encourage listener feedback.
Did anyone weigh in the other thing about us exploiting actors? And
nobody gave a shit. Nobody gave a shit.
No one weighed in on that one.
But they'll weigh in once the stuff story comes out, I hope, in the media. But yes, so anyway, fan feedback. We do want to hear from you. So if you've got any topics, questions, opinions, please give them to us. Facebook.com/GuyAndHarley. Also, Nick asked me why we don't promote our old stuff anymore. All right, because Nick's old school. He's an old school fan of Pigville, and he wondered why we don't promote the Super Saiyan shit anymore, or Disgusting Hairy Man. He literally used those two examples.
Why isn't Disgusting Hairy Man being talked about more on the podcast?
I'm not kidding. That was one of his. That was the two films. That was the two productions he brought up. The Super Saiyan shit and Disgusting Hairy Man.
It's valid.
If you guys would like to see that stuff, this is a great opportunity for us to promote them. Go onto YouTube and search Pigville. Search Pigville. You'll find us. We've got about 20,000 subscribers, and we've got 100 or more uploads. And so go there and go Pigville, and you'll see in our playlists one called Skits. Go to that, check it out, and in there you'll see the Super Saiyan shit and probably Disgusting Hairy Man as well. But yeah, you'll find it in YouTube.
Well, a Disgusting Hairy Man is like a gem that you have to uncover.
Yeah.
Back in the Pigville archives.
Yeah.
But I guess the answer to that is that we just fucking forget about shit, really. Like, it's like, yes, we did stuff, and actually there's plenty of things that I'm quite proud of. That we did do, but then you kind of like, okay, we did that, we talked about that, and then we kind of forget about that.
Hey, speaking of which, Why did you become a filmmaker, Guy Pigden? This is Guy Pigden, Between Two Ferns.
Why did I become a filmmaker? Oh, well, you know, like, I mean, we've mentioned the Dawson's Creek story.
Yeah.
But really it was that...
Dawson's Creek fanboying about Joey, a.k.a. Katie Holmes. The hours and hours spent masturbating about Katie Holmes.
When the
idea that
when
Dawson
the gift came
got to
out,
bone her.
When the gift came out, that was the greatest gift anyone ever gave me.
I think they never received.
We don't want to delve too deep into that, actually. Right. Because she's basically gets murdered straight after she gets her boobs out.
Right.
But anyway.
Which really turned you on. Which really turned him on.
It was weird because I did love Joey in Dawson's Creek, but as Katie Holmes, like, as an adult, not feeling. As a teenager, I was like, Katie, she's Joey, she's so cute, she's the girl next door, I'm in love with her. And then she kind of grew up and I was like, the girl next door kind of just didn't really look good.
Well, no, she looked exactly the same. I feel like she aged very well.
Well, then what happened?
Like, as
I
a
don't
physical
know why.
thing. No, I think what it is that she lost any cool edge that she ever may have had. You know, like the allure was, oh, that's the character she's playing, and you fell in love with that character. And then she got older and she became like this, like, boring mum. You know,
Tom Cruise, married to Tom Cruise,
and like a Scientologist. And then there's that really funny quote from her where she after she divorced Tom Cruise, she was like, and she got out of Scientology. She was like, I'm free from a repressive, dangerous death cult, and back safely in the arms of the Catholic Church. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the problem is just that, like, she's an intelligent woman with who is got her
That's
head,
the problem. She's
got
an
her
intelligent woman.
No, that's what I was going to say. I think she's an intelligent woman with her head screwed on, right?
Yeah.
So she took her fame and she, you know, used it, and she went on and she had a responsible adult life and a responsible image and all that stuff. And that's boring as fuck for us because we don't want that. We want, like, scandal and intrigue and
I
attitude.
think it's just that she became too mumsy.
Yeah.
So she obviously had a kid and became a mum, but, like, you know, some people's kind of look and feel and allure doesn't really change when that happens, and some really become, like, legit, like, mums, and then
But
I
so
guess
that's your answer?
No.
Joey,
I'm getting completely sidetracked. I'm just saying that, like, you know, when you become real mumsy, that's not 100% sexy, in my personal opinion.
Well, you might be onto something there.
But, you know, that's not to say that there aren't super hot mums out there. That's really who I'm
But you're not attracted
trying
to
to date.
Let's be honest, you're not attracted to their mumness.
No, not really.
No.
But, you know, like, it's that
You're
thing.
attracted in spite of their mumness.
I guess so.
Yeah.
We're terrible people.
You are.
Okay, are you?
I had no issue.
Wait,
I'm the guy who said that Katie Holmes is an intelligent woman with her head screwed on. You said she became unfuckable when she was a mum.
No, okay. Let me just quantify. So you telling me that for you, someone being mumsy, that doesn't affect your level of attraction to them, Harley Neville?
It's cool with me. I've
lie.
got mummy issues.
Total
I'm looking for a mothering.
Lying through your teeth on that one.
So
what did I become a filmmaker? Well, basically it was that I'd grown up on movies, and my dad had been a big, like, he'd restricted my movie watching. So there was heaps of movies.
Why? Because he was like, stop wasting your time with...
No, he was like...
get outside and play with bugs.
No, he was like, you can watch...
Read a book.
These movies, but you can't watch all these cool movies because you're too young.
Right.
And I was like, the fuck, Dad?
Got it.
I'm old enough to watch these movies. Just let me... I'm a big boy. I can do big boy things. So anyway... That's that. So like his restriction of my movie watching was then it was like, so then suddenly the floodgates opened and I could watch all this stuff that I've been denied. And so there was that thing of like being open up to this new world. But it was also like, he was someone that encouraged, like, he was like, okay, you know, you're watching this movie, but let me tell you about Sergio Leone and spaghetti westerns and how they shot all these westerns in Italy, you know. And I was like, whoa, behind the scenes. So he wanted to always go deeper, and he was always quite compelled by behind the scenes nature of things, which made me compelled by that stuff, because that was something that we actually connected on. There was a lot of things that myself and my dad really didn't see eye to eye on, you know, in life at that time. And that was one of those things that we really dug. You know, I could watch a Clint Eastwood movie, he could watch a Clint Eastwood movie, he'd show me Dirty Harry, and I'd be like, fuck yeah, that's so cool. And so that was a thing to relate to him on. And I also think that just starting off as, you know, I was encouraged to read, I was encouraged to write. And so as a storyteller, at a certain point, you want to tell stories. And I think that either you kind of gravitate towards just writing, you know, just writing stories, being like a novelist or something like that, which certainly did have an allure. But I think when film got introduced to me, I was like, wait a second. So the problem with novels or books is that you
can't see them.
You can't see them, and you read them in your head. You imagine what those characters look like. You picture what the author envisioned. So there's one degree of separation which movies don't have, because as the director, as the writer and director of a film, you're the architect of all of it. So you're not saying like, imagine this, you're like saying, see what I imagine this as. And so that appealed to me more than just writing, because, you know, with writing, it was like, okay, but everyone's going to have their own take on this stuff. Whereas as a film, you're showing them that world that you imagine and you want to do. So I think that was a huge, really appealing thing to me as someone that liked to write and liked to be a creator. So that's sort of why I sort of gravitated to filmmaking and wanted to be a filmmaker. And also, you know, movies, it's glamour, it's glitz, you know, as an actor, it's cool to be, you know, a lead in a film. It's you know, all that stuff is amazing, and there's that sense of, you know, we have mentioned a little bit on the podcast, but that sense of immortality. It's like, wherever you go, this is me right now, this is me on the screen, this is my story right now, and you can go back to this in 20, 30, 50, 100 years if you want. If, you know, we haven't burnt up due to climate change and all the internet has gone down, but you can find this stuff all the time, and it's a little window into this history at this moment. And, you know, you do to some degree like live on the silver screen, you know, like you will always be Wesley Pennington.
Well, speaking of which, there was a couple of people tonight at the wedding who had seen the movie.
That's pretty cool.
They didn't let me know until the
panties
very
didn't.
end.
Did they drop panties? Drop on Wesley?
The panties were just launched at me,
left, right.
It was like a panty bazooka cannon. As soon as the movie poetry thing came out, like I had to run for cover.
But that's pretty amazing. Like the very fact that you are Wesley Pennington. Wesley Pennington is from I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, who exists and will always be there,
and is being watched right now by somebody. Probably.
And you can always go back to that.
If you think about it, right? There's 24 hours in a day. The movie is just under 2 hours. That's 12 viewings a day. So if you think about it, you look at the stats and you look at the people that are torrenting it and the iTunes and the sales and all that, and you realize that probably more than 12 people a day are actually watching it, which means
especially if you check online about all the pirating that's going on.
Exactly. And so if you think about it, there's somebody right now somewhere watching I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and that's not unreasonable because we only need 12 people a day to do it to reach that status.
Also, it's
kind of cool. Like, there's somebody right now watching probably Wesley Pennington.
And my girlfriend did fall in love with your character.
Yeah.
She is always talking about Wesley.
Fair call.
And so long story short, not really. Long story long. That's what made me want to become a filmmaker. All that stuff.
Well, we better wrap it up.
Why did you ask that?
Well, I was just wondering, so the listeners might like to hear your origin story. I mean, for me personally,
didn't care.
No, I mean, I've heard it all before.
You heard all that bullshit.
No. For me personally, why I became a filmmaker, I think it's a little bit rooted in my fruitless quest for immortality, which is essentially what you said.
It's part of it.
It's this idea that even if we conquered the galaxy, truly ruled it, that's a pretty unlikely thing. It's a pretty monumental achievement for any species given the distances involved, and so it doesn't even matter because, right, just say we did manage to conquer the galaxy, it would eventually fade into oblivion because all galaxies are slowly moving away from one another and into an infinite void.
Yeah.
So no matter what we achieve and no matter what the highest life form ever achieves, it's ultimately pointless because, it's all expanding. So unless, of course, we find some mathematical way of preventing the universe expanding and learn how to create new universes of our own. So anyway, in the meantime, creating art and passing on my genes are basically the only ways I have to find immortality. So I need to affect pop culture drastically. That's my motivation.
Right. Well, that seems a little more, how should I say, narcissistic than my own.
Morbid. No, it's just,
pretty much this similar stuff.
So on that up note, we will end the podcast this week. Thank you for listening. I hope we all got through it. Forgive me for anything I said. And please go along and please support us. If you would like to buy me a fake vagina, you can. All you need to do is go to PayPal, search, you just need my email address, which is harleyneville@hotmail.com, and you can buy me a fake vagina. They're currently $35. If 35 of you put in $1 each, well, that's still good for me, The other way is to go to patreon.com and search Pigville, and there you can become one of our patrons, which is also an amazing thing to do, and thank you so much to all of our patrons. That's more or less it. Go along to the Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and also go to iTunes and give us 5 stars, and that would really, really, really help us.
Also, speaking of feedback, we did hear from Nick Cesardi, and he did just mention that he was listening to episode 26, and one of the listeners' questions was, what are your thoughts on Bernie Sanders? Now, I do not remember the episode in question, but I have to assume that we were very pro-Bernie.
We were like, go, feel the burn!
Dad jokes. And this was before the preliminaries were going on in the States, and we covered our concerns regarding Jeb Bush possibly becoming president. And this is what he says, what got me was you barely even mentioned Trump because the idea of him even winning the nominations was such a joke, let alone the presidency. One can only imagine your reactions if someone told you then that Trump was going to win the election. Look, I'm alarmed on a daily basis by the reminder that Trump is president. And now that he is now officially president, he's not the president-elect, I'm legitimately more shocked.
Yeah, well, it's a scary time. Now, I actually...
We got into some... Well, I ended up getting into more Facebook beef than you did.
Well, look, that's because you're a fucking rookie. You're an amateur.
Yeah.
Okay, you actually reply to them with outrage and so on.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I'm always approaching every Facebook conversation from a publicity standpoint. I'm on show. How can I answer in a way that makes people want to click on my profile and add me as a friend or watch one of my videos, So yeah, but that's fine. It's good to have you on board still. It's nice to have you commenting because that's pretty good for the publicity.
Well, I had to jump in a fury because there was a Trump supporter who was basically like, give Trump a break. because he hasn't really done anything yet. Your reply to that was, well, yeah, but the things that he's going to do are really bad. In particular, he does not believe in climate change. And to this, it was replied that climate change is not a problem now. Maybe in 30 years it's going to be a problem, but he is more concerned about war.
American jobs.
And jobs and things like that. And it's like, it's all connected.
Yeah, well, I got one that said, it was from a middle-aged white American...
supremacist.
No. Well, I mean, yes. Probably inadvertently. But
yeah.
But yeah, a middle-aged sort of white guy that probably... he thinks the world is what it was when he grew up.
Yeah.
Not understanding that it's not the same world that we grew up in.
No.
And that our children are going to grow up in, and the current, like, teenagers are currently growing up in.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he wrote this comment. He said, Trump thinks that creating American jobs is more important than climate control. In other words, we finally have a president who has his priorities straight. A non-academic who...
a non-academic. Just think about that statement.
I know. Okay. A non-academic who understands the real world. Thank God. Now, I mean, that fucking comment is so fucking retarded on so many fucking levels. It's just, it's like, and there are these people walking around. Now, this guy's got no fucking excuse. He's middle-aged, okay? Like, if an 18-year-old says something dumb, you kind of go like, yeah, okay, well,
18-year-olds
you're
are dumb.
18.
I would say dumb shit when I was 18.
Exactly. I was 18. I was dumb.
I remember being dumb.
Yeah.
Dumber.
But it's like, when you're that age, when you're 40-something or 50-something,
it's no excuse.
You should have learnt at least roughly, approximately how the world functions, and if you haven't, sort your fucking life out. So anyway, like, essentially I said, that is like saying Trump doesn't care that the house is burning down because he's going to renovate the rec room. In other words, we finally have a president who has his priorities straight. A non-academic who doesn't understand the concept of houses burning down. Thank God. It boggles the mind. It really depresses me, and it makes me, honestly, like, I used to kind of like joke about it, but I now actually legitimately feel like this might be how a lot of people felt in Nazi Germany in the 30s as the Nazi party came into power and this crazy shit was happening, and average Joes like you and me didn't really know how to respond, and we didn't know what to do, and we saw this silly madness going on, and in hindsight you say, oh man, if I was in Nazi Germany in the 30s, I would have like walked up to Hitler and bopped him in the nose. But nowadays it's like, okay, but actually what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? He's in. Hitler's in. He's done it. What are you going to do? And even if it's not Hitler, even if it's not as bad as Hitler, maybe Trump doesn't want to murder millions of people, but, it doesn't change the fact
but he
that
might inadvertently do that.
Well, yeah, and he has draconian ideas in a time when we really need strong action on climate change and all of this stuff. We need strong leadership from the United States of America, which is the most powerful nation in the world, and we're not getting it. We're getting this floundering around and sort of it's not good for the future of humanity to have the leader of the free world be a person who doesn't even believe that
there's a problem.
There's a problem when it's the biggest problem that we've ever faced in the history of humanity.
And that doesn't essentially believe in science by proxy.
But he almost, what's scary about it is that he almost certainly does believe in that. And I think he can't be dumb enough to believe that climate change is not real. I think that he simply does not care. He's some sort of sociopath. He doesn't care that the world is ending as long as his name is in lights and he's making money. And his line of thinking is the future will be sorted out in the future, and we'll be okay and someone will sort it out. And the reality is that no, when motherfuckers like you are standing in the way, we can't sort it out, and we do have limited time to figure this thing out.
Very limited time, by the sounds of all the sort of prognosis about where we're at. And that's the issue of this guy it's saying like, oh, well, that's a 30 years away problem, and don't worry because all the oil will be used up then. Firstly, no, the oil probably won't be used up all by then, but the problem is immediate and right now, and if you kept using up all the oil to use it all up in 30 or 40 years, that would continue to exacerbate the problem.
I'm sure you mean exacerbate. I'm sure it's like exacerbate.
Either
it's the second time you said exacerbate. And I'm sure it's like exacerbate. Listeners, let us know. Exacerbate or exacerbate or whatever guys
Exacerbate.
Exacerbate. Is exacerbate. You're saying it like you read it, which you shouldn't be doing. Now, look. So on that note, listeners, we will leave. But you're all going to die and the world is ending. So
but not
have
today.
a good night.
But not today. Maybe in 30 or 40 years.
Thank you very much. Good night.
See you later.
You've been listening to the Guy Harley Podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.